Welcome to Kermode Uncut. We're here with Steve Woolley, who you'll all know. Steve is here with not so much a coffee table book as a coffee table. This is a book of the history of the Scala Cinema Club, which is like one of the most important club cinemas in, I think, the whole of the UK. Steve, this massive tome, it's honestly, it's a real doorstopper. Yeah. Talk us through what's in it and why is it important?
Well, firstly, I could never have put this together. I mean, Jane Giles spent 4 or 5 years of her life doing this. Basically, the Scala was a bit of an institution, as you know, but this book covers the entire history of the Scala, not just the programming. It has every single program, and every program is incredibly indexed at the back. Oh, I'll just stick at the back. Let's start at the back first. So anyone that ever did come to the Scala, and forgets, you know, I went to see, for instance, I Want to Live. Here you go, just look it up. Jan 79 and March 79. You can actually go back to the programme and remember the dreadful things you got up to.
Let's see whether this works. Look up Oni Baba, because when I was working at Time Out at the end of the 80s, I think I suggested a double bill of Oni Baba and The Exorcist. Let's have a look. Oni Baba, there we go. Maybe July 90. So let's look at it and see whether we can find a double bill.
Exorcist and Oni Baba.
There it is. There's the double bill.
Then we have guest programmers selection. Mark Kermode.
There is my selection.
I didn't realise your name was
It's actually in there. There we go. You know, I was very proud. I was working at Time Out and the Scala rang up and said, we'd like you to suggest a double bill. And I went, really? They went,
great.
Yeah. Look at it. There it is.
And it's a great double bill.
It is fantastic.
That's brilliant. And it's actually, both films are perfect for the Scala, because the train rumbling underneath would have helped both, actually.
That's right, because at this point the Scala was in King's Cross, and so there was a major tube line underneath, and the whole building would shake, and every now and then the Scala cat would jump on your shoulder, which added a bit of an extra frisson.
The Scala cat would wander around the cinema, and I think I think people would have paid extra. I always think that somebody remembers seeing Freaks, the movie, and suddenly the cat jumped on their lap and they just stood in the cinema and screamed. But yeah, that was part of the Scala's charm, was that it was a cinema with character.
Now, for anyone who doesn't know, sort of describe for us the ambience, the ethos of the Scala, what it was about.
I'd fallen in love with this idea of the rep program. I'd never been to America, but I'd seen these programs from cinemas in the States, like the Roxy in San Francisco and the New Art in Los Angeles. And they had everything. They were showing all these movies. And it was like Time Out, which of course was my Bible during the 70s and was for many people in the 70s and 80s. You know, in Time Out, you had to go everywhere in London to see movies. Right. If you wanted to see a film, you couldn't just get it on DVD. You couldn't just watch it on download it. There was no Sky. There was no movie channels. You had to go to that cinema at the appointed time, to the Paris Pullman or the Electric. Yeah. What we tried to do with the Scala was to bring all those cinemas into one place. But we did have a sort of distinctive leaning towards certain things.
But look at this. On one programme here, you've got Creature from the Black Lagoon, because you've got a 3D thing on Saturday night. You've got Driver, Trotsek, Rock, 1900, Victim, Sebastian. It's an extraordinary Battle of Chile. It's an extraordinary collection of films, and this is just like the first programme. Yeah, astonishing.
This was really trying to draw together all those cinemas in one thing, and then as the Scala progressed, it became more varied.
Here you are showing I Know Corrida as well.
Well, the other thing we did, I suppose, was that we defied the censor.
Yeah.
And so part and parcel of that were films like Oshima's In the Realm of the Senses or Bertolucci's Last Tango in Paris, movies that could only be shown under a license, or Pasolini's Salo.
Yeah.
We showed all of those movies, and people knew that if they went to the Scala, that they would be showing films in an uncut version.
Yes.
So we were always trying to show, that was one of the distinctive things. The music thing was very distinctive. You know, The Harder They Come, Jimi Hendrix. The John Waters thing was very distinctive.
Yeah, I mean, there's Pink Flamingos on this program before you had Female Trouble, so they again would always draw a large crowd because you weren't going to see John Waters films anywhere else.
No, we became the cinema that people recognised. So by gathering the movies together, you gathered the audience together. These little groups of people, like the television enthusiasts, the audiences that wanted to see the John Waters films.
It's a kind of cornucopia of cinema, and what I remember about it was just getting into the habit of going because whatever was on would be something that would be worthwhile. Sometimes it was fairly well-known stuff, sometimes it was cult stuff. It didn't make any difference. And what you would see was the same people again and again and again. Although I I don't think I ever spoke to anyone. I do remember going to horror all-nighters and just, seeing the same people, but that was it.
Yeah.
It wasn't a very talkative crowd.
It was great because everybody had their own version of the Scala. Your version of the Scala would have been those all-night horrors.
Yes.
Somebody else's version of the Scala was where they first saw Kenneth Anger movies.
Yeah.
So it was it was actually a thrill to be involved in the Scala because it was like a chameleon. Every day was a different day, a different double bill, a different group of people, and people started to associate with it almost like they would a friend. All these lovely moments that are in the book it's a history of cinema.
It is really great, Steve. Can I just say I'm very proud that my double bill is in there.
I'm so happy it was in there. We didn't even set that up.
I know, we didn't. Great. I mean, I literally, off the top of my head, just remembered having done that. So, Steve, congratulations.
Well, Mark,
and I look forward to spending.
I'm so happy to talk to you, and I'm so happy that you will one day, I hope, possess one of these for yourself.
Yeah.
And it will solve all those arguments at home.
It will. Thank you.